There are moments in life when time seems to pause. Moments when the world around you fades, and the only sound left is your own heartbeat. It's in those silent seconds that everything can change. Most people never notice them, but for Arav, that moment arrived when he least expected it. He wasn't a hero, he wasn't rich or special or chosen. He was just an ordinary young man from a small Indian village, whose days looked exactly the same. He woke before sunrise, tied his worn sandals, and walked barefoot across dry fields to work. He carried grain, fixed fences, endured the heat, and when the day ended, he'd stare at the mountains in the distance and wonder, is this all there is? Every evening, the same thought haunted him, that life was slipping away, not in tragedy, but in quiet surrender. Dreams don't always die with loud crashes. Sometimes they fade quietly, beneath the weight of routine. One evening, while walking home, he saw a flicker of fire near an old banyan tree. Drawn by curiosity, he approached and found a wise old man sitting cross-legged, feeding the flames. His face was lined with time, yet his eyes were alive, deep like the stars. "Why do you walk with your head down, young man?" the old man asked. Arav hesitated. "Because there's nothing ahead of me to look at." The sage smiled faintly. "Then perhaps it's time to lift your eyes and see what life still hides." They spoke for hours beneath the tree. Arav confessed his fears, of failure, of change, of being no one. The old man listened quietly and then said something that would echo in Arav's mind for years to come. "Courage doesn't erase fear. It walks hand in hand with it." That night, Arav couldn't sleep. The words replayed like thunder in his chest. He thought of how often he had waited for the right moment, the perfect chance, and how life had slipped past while he waited. So before the first light of dawn, he made a decision to take one step forward, no matter how uncertain. He packed a small bag, left a note for his parents, and began walking toward the mountains. His heart was heavy with doubt, but lighter than it had been in years. The journey wasn't glorious. He faced hunger, exhaustion, and loneliness. There were nights when he almost turned back, nights when he screamed at the stars, "Why did I think I could do this?" But each morning, when the first light touched the peaks, he remembered the sage's words, and he kept walking. Days turned into months. Arav crossed rivers, slept under open skies, and met people who changed him. He worked in towns, learned to read, and discovered something he'd never known before, that knowledge could make even the poorest man feel infinite. Years later, Arav stood not as a farmer, but as a teacher in a small city school. He no longer carried grain, he carried hope. Every child he taught was a reflection of the boy he once was, afraid, uncertain, but full of light waiting to be seen. One day, he returned to his village. The banyan tree still stood tall. He placed his hand on its trunk and whispered, "I made it." The old sage was gone, but in that stillness, he could almost hear his voice again. Sometimes the smallest step taken in faith becomes the greatest journey of your life. The sky turned golden and the wind carried the scent of home. And for the first time in his life, Arav understood. Courage isn't about changing the world all at once. It's about changing yourself, one choice at a time. Life often waits for us at the edge of our fear. We convince ourselves that we need more time, more clarity, more strength. But what we truly need is movement. Every mountain,
every miracle begins with a single, uncertain step forward. You may not see the whole path, and that's okay. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Because the truth is, courage isn't a grand explosion. It's the quiet voice inside that says, "I'll try again tomorrow." And once you take that step, the world changes. Not because it suddenly becomes easier, but because you become stronger.